everybody take their seats and get festivities started. Welcome everybody to the 12th annual Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame banquet. My name is Darren Gilbert. I am the co-chair along with David Allen. David is on vacation. When the wife speaks up, gentlemen, you know this, that she said vacation and he said, how high should I jump? So he's on vacation. So on behalf of him and myself and my committee, or our committee, welcome this evening to honor 6 individuals, 1 team, and 2 recipients of scholarships. I've got a few notes I just want to briefly bring to your attention, please. Restrooms are provided in the back, also down the hallway. Any awards tonight, whether it be a recipient of a scholarship, certificates, any individuals who is going to be getting something, also a team. If you could please stay afterwards, Mr. Sean Blevins is here with the Kent Times. He's going to take photos for the media. Sean's done a really good job, along with Richard Catajon, who's also videotaping this tonight, and he's also going to be taking pictures of the tables and of the presenters, and also the recipients. So if you could please hang around afterwards. On your desk there are programs. The programs itself, if you feel like you would like to have more of those, we do have a few of those up here at the desk. So please, those are complimentary, so please take them with you following tonight's festivities. If you take a look on the inside of the front cover, you know, this banquet would not be possible without the list of patrons that are there, and it keeps growing every year. You know, when I send out the solicitations and make communication, businesses are very open and welcome, and they ask what we need, and they're very receptive about helping us out. So if you get a chance to see them or patronize their business, that would be great. On the back cover on the inside, you will notice a prospective candidate page. Please feel free to fill this out. If you know somebody or you know a team that you think is deserving of this, and you can either contact me or Mr. Allen or any of the committee members, and we'll make sure that we put that information to good use in October when we meet. Some of you may not be aware, we are on social media. We do have a Facebook page. Mr. Steyer, Mike Steyer, is in charge of that. So if you get a chance to like us or would like to find pertinent information, that's going to be provided on there. If I could have the following people stand up, please. Beth Elwood, Jerry Burry, Gene Fries, and Mike Reisner. These individuals, welcome back. They are now in the class of 2013. Beth Elwood was inducted. Jerry Burry, class 2015. Gene Fries, class 2017, and Mike Reisner, class 2018. Welcome back, and hope you enjoy the evening. Just some quick updates that I jotted a few notes down. Those of you that may or may not know, we inducted Julie Folks last year. Actually, it's Dr. Julie Folks. And a lot of people don't understand or haven't heard. She finished 33-0, finished with a perfect season, was named the D3Hoops.com Coach of the Year in Division III. She was the only team in the NCAA or NAIA, regardless of gender, to go undefeated. This season, 2024, again, she went undefeated. She won 64 straight games, which is the third longest in NCAA Division III women's history, 7th in NCAA women's Division I, II, and III, and she reached the Final Four. She has now taken the job. She's went from Division III to Division I. She's now the head coach at Marshall University, so congratulations to her. I had a difficult time when I sat down to write this particular portion, but as you get older, you learn to appreciate things and not take things for granted. I do want to share this with you. The Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame has lost 2 recipients within the last year. The first one is Alan Hedrick. He was inducted into the class of 2012. Coach Hedrick died April 28, 2024, at the age of 84. He coached 38 years for Sales High School, teaching young student athletes for 33 years. During this time, he won 6 state titles, combining a record of 334 wins, 95 losses, and 4 ties. He was a football coach. The second individual I became very close to through my profession as a basketball coach. And I know we have a lot of AU representatives here tonight. And I want Ron to know that up until the time of Joe's passing, he was constantly communicating with me to make sure your butt got in here. You know, he'd slick his hair back and he'd yelling, now we gotta make sure, now we gotta get Ron in. I said, Joe, I'm working on it. Joe King Holy, known as Campy, was inducted in the class of 2014. He passed away at the age of 80 on August 25th, 2023. He coached 30 years of men's hoops, with 11 years as head coach at High Northern University. Tom was UAB when he was the women's soccer coach. Whoa. Joe also was a women's soccer coach and also was an assistant football coach. Joe led the Polar Bears to the 1993 national title in Division III NCAA. Those of you that are not aware, High Northern University's court has been named after him in Holy Court. The last individual I want to make reference to, those that were here last year, we had a man go in from Upper Southern Valley High School. His name was Steve Stitzel. And Mike Reisner and Steve are very good friends that grew up together. And last year at the banquet, that wasn't one of Steve's better nights. I don't want to elaborate or anything, but Mike had made reference to me that there was something that was odd. So here, within the last 6 months, it was brought to our attention that Steve, there was a mass found on his brain. And they took a tumor, cancerous tumor off his brain. So he is in recovery right now. So before I turn this over to Dr. Price for our invocation, I'd like to have a moment of silence for these 3 individuals. Thank you so much. If I can get Dr. Price to come up, please. You get the honor of also telling them where to start for dinner. Unless you want to fight over 55 Riverdale people tonight. That's why you're back in the corner.
All right, let's pray. Father in heaven, as we get here tonight, we thank you for the gifts that you give to all of us. But Father, we honor the gifts that were given to many of these athletic gifts, and we just thank you for the time and the talent, the work that they put in, and they shared that with us. We thank you for the relationships that we build through teams and athletics and sports and the character that is built. Father, we thank you for the nation that we live in, that we are given opportunities to do these things. We pray, Father, that would continue. Finally, Father, we just give this night over to you. We pray a blessing upon the food and the fellowship. We pray all these things in the holy name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. And we'll have the Riverdale people. I am. There was no smart man.
They outnumber us, okay?
You got it.
Food's there, enjoy yourselves. Let's try to reconvene about 10 till 7 for the presentation and get everybody out of here at decent time. Hey, beware, I've got to talk one more time. I've got 3 minutes and I promise I'm done for the night. Deal?
Not really.
No, so, or you guys want to go take collective? Okay. How's the food? Okay, you can give a applause to the Holbrook Catering, please. They're the ones that catered tonight's meal. Thank you very much. This time, I'm going to turn it over to our MC, Mr. Jim Holman, for tonight's inductions. Jim.
So, the food got a round of applause and I did. I understand that. I'm the same way. I just say thank you. I appreciate that. It's been a long night to laugh at my jokes, guys. Okay, welcome to the 2024 Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony. My name is Jim Holman. I'll be your master of ceremonies this evening. I'd like to remind everybody you get what you pay for and I'm working for free, so please keep that in mind. There, okay, thank you. I'd like to wish all the dads in the crowd a happy Father's Day tomorrow. Don't worry, fellas. New socks, underwear are on their way. One more day, guys. Maybe a necktie too, of course, this is fun. That's fun. Almost there. I also have to wish my niece Isabella a happy birthday today. My niece is a Father's Day baby, but didn't have it completely organically. My sister-in-law was passed her due date 16 years ago. Her doctor gave the family two possible options. One was Sunday, June 15th, which is 2018, Anthony Father's Day. The other option was June 13th, which was Friday. Now, my family chose the 15th. Now, my brother will tell you, having a Father's Day baby is cool, and we're not superstitious. But we weren't going to mess with Friday. We watched a lot of people explain this. Anyway, happy 16th birthday, Izzy. Your uncle loves you and is proud of you. Now, I think most folks here know either Russ Goulet or Bob Simmons. They want me to pass on, they're not here tonight, but they wanted me to pass on their greetings. They wish they were here. I wish they were here. Because for about 3 hours straight, my phone's been buzzing all night. Say hi to this person, say hi to that person. Bob says hi to the princess. I don't know who that is, because everybody here is Princess Bob. He has more princesses in Disneyland, I think. But Russ couldn't make it. He had a day, he used the last day off to attend his son's graduation from Johns Hopkins a couple weeks ago. So apparently that was more important than us, but maybe find out who your friends are. Bob was off doing Bob things. I'm not sure what that is. Probably make the world safe democracy, but he couldn't make it. But did want to send his, both want to send congratulations to everyone here. Wanted to be here, but they couldn't, and they're very proud of everyone here. It's a great class, and congrats to everyone. Everything you see tonight is brought to you by the Hard Work Hall of Fame Committee. Please allow me to introduce you at this time. When your name is called, Please stand and be recognized for all your hard work and dedication. Committee members include Darren Gilbert, David Allen, Jeff Price, Paul Ralston, Mike Reiser, Tom Simmons, Mike Steyer, Aaron Thompson, and myself, Jim Holmes. Committee members in attendance, please stand and be recognized. Those not in attendance can remain seated. As Darren mentioned earlier, we're always looking for more local sports and stories in each community in the county. So if you're interested in joining us, please see a committee person after the event. This is our 12th Hall of Fame induction ceremony. We presently have 65 members of 11 teams are Hall of Fame. Tonight's event will be adding 6 more individuals and 1 additional team for membership. Tonight's inductees are selected by the Hall of Fame committee from dozens of nominees. A nomination form is included in every program if you'd like to nominate a person or team for consideration. Nominations from the general public are greatly appreciated. This class, like those before it, will also be commemorated on a plaque which will hang on the wall at Skinny's Tavern, a local restaurant down Center Avenue, Kent, for those who are familiar with our community. Besides that, we have 12 plaques honoring the Hall of Fame classes. Another separate special plaque will be at the wall. Jerry Gilbert's going to come up here and tell you a little more about that.
When I joined the committee a couple years ago, I got in touch with Mr. Matt Brown, who's the entrepreneur of Skinny's Tavern down on Fountain Street, also known as Thomas Tavern. And I wanted to do something unique that when people went in there to eat, they could also see something on the wall. And he was generous enough to donate part of the wall to us in the back room. And each year, here's a prime example. Each year, whatever's on the front of your program, there's going to be a plaque made for each individual class that is on the wall there at Skinny's Tavern for years to come, hopefully. And that's all voluntary on his time as far as putting it up and making sure the public gets an opportunity to see it. So just a little bit that I wanted to do along with our committee to make this thing, grow for years to come. I guess this is a little bit fitting, partly because, Wes touched a lot of people's lives. And what do I mean by fitting is, he's a Riverdale guy. Taught baseball there, officiated baseball, was a community member. So the committee and I, we got together and we had talked about it. And we've been giving these scholarships out, 2 $500 scholarships to student athletes throughout the county. And without a bat of an eye, everybody agreed 100% to change it. So officially tonight, the scholarship now becomes the Wes Davis Memorial Scholarship in his honor. There's a plaque that has been created for Wes Davis that will hang on the wall at Thomas Tavern, also known as Skinny's, in his memory, because without him and the hard work and his determination, this event would not be possible. I also had a private donor from the Forest community that asked to make one for his wife, Christine, daughter, Lauren, and son, Brock. So that's pretty well where we're at with this Wes Davis, and God rest his soul, and these scholarships that we pass out are going to be in his memory. Thank you.
So now to award the very first Wes Davis Memorial Scholarships, please welcome the lecturer, Mr. Mike Steyer.
Come on, Andy, we gotta do better than that. All right, so we have two recipients for our 2024 West Davis Memorial Scholarship winner. First one is for Bryn Butler. Bryn could not make it tonight. Bryn is a graduate of Kenton Senior High School. She graduated in 2024. She participated in volleyball, softball, and powerlifting. She garnered honorable mention to all WBL and is the current record holder for most digs in one season in volleyball. Bryn also excelled in the softball diamond. She was one of many KHS softballers to lead Wildcats to the school's first ever co-WBL championship with an 8-0 record this year. Her accolades in softball include second team Division II All Northwest Ohio and first team All WBL. She was academically, she was on merit roll and an academic letter winner since enrolling as a KHS student athlete. Ms. Butler plans to attend the University of Akron, majoring in nursing, with a desire to further her academics following college graduation to become a nurse. So again, Bryn could not be here tonight, but she is our first scholarship recipient. And our second scholarship recipient, who is here, who would come on up, is Alex Sanders from Upper Scioto Valley High School. Alex is the son of Travis and Jamie Sanders, 2024 graduate of Upper Scioto Valley High School. He has participated and lettered in 3 varsity sports, football, basketball, and baseball while attending USV. He has been recognized as an All-NWCC in multiple sports. In football, he earned second team linebacker in 2021, first team linebacker running back in 22 and 23, and he was an NWCC Defensive Player of the Year in 23. His first team Northwest Ohio in 2022 as a running back, and first team Northwest Ohio linebacker in 2023. He also earned first team All-Ohio in 2022 for running back and second team All-Ohio for running back this past year. In basketball, Alex has earned first team All-NWCC for basketball in the last 2 years, second team District 8 player, and along with Hardin County first team and player of the year for basketball, and honorable mention All-Ohio this past season. In baseball, he earned first team NWCC in baseball this past season, and he earned academic All-NWCC this year as well. Alex plans to attend the University of Findlay to continue his football career and major in business administration with an emphasis in business analytics. So, there is Alex Sanders, our scholarship winner for this year.
One of those checks goes to the bank, one you get to keep, Alex, so you figure out which one is which. Best luck both to Alex and in the future. You read more about them in the member programs. So, all right, so now it's time to get started with our induction ceremony. For our first presentation, please welcome lecturer, Hall of Famer Coach Gene Freeze.
I'd like to introduce Doug Freeze as a new member of the Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame. Doug held all of the boys basketball scoring records for over 20 years at Ada High School. This was before the three-point shot. They had then an 18-game regular season limit on the games. I think now they can play 22. Doug scored a total of 1,256 points during his career at Ada High School, and I think this now ranks third. He scored 555 points senior year. This record still stands. He scored a little more than senior year. I would say the first couple of years he might have thought he could score a little more, but the coach held him back and encouraged him to play next. And senior year we had to have him score. We turned him loose and he scored. He scored 42 points in one game, and this count ranks third. His average of 27.7 points per game during the regular season, I think, still stands. And he averaged 26.4 points overall, including the tournament. Doug was first team All-Ohio his senior year of basketball. He was first team all Northwest Conference 2 years. He was honorable mention Northwest Conference 1 year. One of the things, basketball is a team sport, you all know. I'm extremely proud of the fact that during Doug's 4-year career at Ada High School, the team won 4 consecutive Northwest Conference championships. They finished 38-2 overall in Northwest Conference play. They were 19-2 his senior year. They lost 1 game during the regular season. That was to Minster at Minster. They were defeated in the district tournament to St. Henry. And even the people from St. Henry will tell you that was the toughest game they had. We pretty much thought we had the game. We had a 6-point lead in a minute to go. But in a situation like that, you have to be able to hit free throws going down the end. We missed some and it cost us the game. St. Henry went on to breeze through the rest of this tournament schedule, and they won their first state championship. In baseball, Doug was a 4-year starter in baseball. He had the MVP in both his junior and senior seasons at Ada. He had a .403 batting average, and he was a leadoff batter and played shortstop. Doug was recruited by the College of Worcester, and I might say, well, I had a few other offers around the state, a few out of state, but Doug felt the College of Worcester was the best fit for him, and I agreed it was. Both of the coaches there recruited him, and we were very impressed with their approach. And they agreed to let him have a chance at both sports. And Doug had a strong desire to be able to play baseball as well as basketball. At the College of Worcester, he was a 2-year starter in Letterman basketball. He led the Ohio Athletic Conference in assists as a freshman. He won the Outstanding Freshman of the Year award at Worcester. He set the Worcester Freshman Assist record. And that record stood for 15 years. So see, Doug, it was important that you learn to be a playmaker too. Doug played 1 season of baseball at Worcester and participated in the NCAA Division III National Baseball Tournament. Doug transferred to Bluffton College when he learned his baseball coach at Worcester was leaving for a larger school. Doug finished his career at Bluffton College, winning the MVP, Outstanding Defensive Player, Honorable Mention All Hoosier Buckeye Conference, and Academic NAIA All-American. At Bluffton, he also lettered 2 years playing shortstop in baseball. He played the NAIA Regional Baseball Tournament. Doug received the most award that I think he got was the A.C. Berkey Award at Bluffton College. And this award is given to the outstanding senior athlete in all sports. Presently, Doug is the superintendent of the Greenville City Schools. A position he has held for the past 13 years. And before that, he was superintendent of the Lakenview Schools for 10 years. I haven't said too much about him as an athlete, but I will say he's done a pretty good job as superintendent. He's built 2 new schools, 1 in each district, and he does not have a levy to fail in either school district in 23 years as a superintendent. With this, I'll turn it over to Doug.
start by thanking everyone affiliated with the Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame. Thank you to all the present and former committee members. Thank you to the people who had the vision to recognize all the hard work of athletes and coaches, what they put into developing skills and fundamentals, and in shaping their teams here in Hardin County. I think it's admirable whenever any school, any league, any county, or any state take the time to honor the past. Honoring the past is what motivates the future and gives young people something to strive for. I sincerely thank the committee for all their time to make this whole thing reality. It's with great gratitude that I accept the award to be inducted into the 2024 Sports Hall of Fame here in Hardin County. In my eyes, some of the best high school athletics is played in Northwest Ohio, especially in basketball. I want all the teams that I played on and aided to know that I accept this award on their behalf. Individual awards are not important if you did not have a strong, dominant team. I think everyone in Hardin County and in Northwest Ohio knows that Ada High School was a dominant team in the 70s and early 80s in basketball, as well as many other sports. In fact, Ada was very good and competitive in most sports during that era. It was a great time to live in Ada. The community was filled with pride and truly supported their athletics. I also want Ada to know, when I played high school basketball, baseball, I not only played for my team, but I played for the school and I played for the community. One thing that I think is missing today is you play sports for the school and the community on the front of your jersey. You don't play for the name on the back of your jersey. That was always my intent. When you had the opportunity to play in front of packed gymnasiums, the only thing you did not want to do is to let your school and community down. We had a dominant team, and while I was the point guard, we were not going to let that slip away. We were only going to expand and extend the program as long as we could. I really am in this position tonight for two basic reasons. The biggest one, the team was 38-2. We won 4 championships. The second, I was very fortunate to score a lot of points. But I also took a lot of pride in the fact that I delivered a lot of assists to a lot of other teammates that could also score and could also play the game. Our players understood the game because of the great coaching we had and because of the community tradition that we developed. My path to success in basketball and baseball was through a lot of hard work. Today, everyone wants to play AAU games. My path from 3rd grade through college was I had to make 200 jump shots a day, do ball handling drills, and play one-on-one against an older brother. This was a path that was demanding, and it was put on me by my father when it began, but it became a passion to me. It was not always fun, and it took a lot of discipline, but it was certainly the reason I developed as a basketball player. My path to baseball was very similar. I began playing travel baseball in Sydney in 2nd grade. My mother took me 2 nights a week, 20 miles to play travel baseball because I wasn't old enough to play where we lived in New Knoxville at that time. I continued to play travel baseball, playing collegiate baseball 2 years while in high school, and then going on to play college baseball. It was always a desire of mine to play both college basketball and baseball, like my father mentioned. I had a tremendous love for both sports, but more importantly, I had the desire to compete. And I just couldn't go without having another game to play, and waiting a year was going to be too long for me. I wanted to play. That led me to coach 15 years, and the same thing, I coached 15 years of basketball and baseball, really for the same reason. I could never choose between the two sports, and competition was just ingrained into me. I can honestly tell you that I use everything I learned from two coaches that taught me, my father and Coach Morgan, who also coached me at Worcester, and I went on and coached with at Indiana University. They made me be motivated. They made me hang in there at every cost. They taught me that discipline was the only way you could do anything. And most importantly, they taught me, give your team, your school, and your community blood, just like you give your family. If you do that, you'll be successful. I use that every day as a coach for 15 years, and I certainly have used it every day of my last 23 years as a superintendent. I want to talk just briefly about the dynasty that I think Ada had in basketball in the 70s and 80s. When my dad moved to Ada from New Knoxville, Ada had won 11 basketball games in 5 years. After his 10 years at Ada, we had won 175 games and lost 37. And that produced 7 straight NWC championships, with 2 prior runner-ups before running the 7th straight off. I watched these beginning teams in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and I saw how hard those young men and coaching staff worked. They started a tradition in a tough Northwest Ohio basketball area. And because of their hard work, our team was not going to let any of those previous players down. We were going to continue the program at Ada. Our team became very dominant, and finally, the last stretch we had, or the last hurdle we had to meet, was we had to get better than our arch rival Upper Scioto Valley. The last step to building a solid program is always taking that crown away from somebody. And that's exactly what we was fortunate enough to do. In my 6 years of playing in Northwest Conference, including junior high, I'm proud to say I only ever lost Upper Scioto one time. And that meant a lot because we had to beat them to turn the program. I also appreciate all the work the players, after I left, they continued the tradition. The players and my father continued to work hard, and they extended that winning streak to 10, which in my eyes go with dynasty. I want to thank my parents for all their support, guidance, love, all my life, but particularly while growing up in Ada and Hardin County. Other than the time I spent with my wife and 3 daughters, the best time period I had in my life was the 7 years that I went to school at Ada. I thank my dad. I followed in his footsteps in many ways, as a coach, as a counselor, as a superintendent, but most importantly, he's my best friend, and I appreciate that. I thank my mother. When you live with 2 competitive people, like my dad and my older brother for that matter, you needed somebody to keep things at an even keel and keep things in perspective. She always did that. She also ran me around all the time, because my dad was pretty much working with a lot of other youth as well as myself. I want to thank my brother, who really helped develop me. He was also a tremendous player at Ada. He was on that team that won the first championship in 75 and 76. And I can tell you, winning the first one is the toughest. Following after that is a little easier than the people that have to turn the program. I had many great teammates. Kenny and Greg Deisher come to mind as big men that played with my brother and I. I also want to thank all the players from 72 to 75 that turned the program around. Again, I know how hard that is. I want to thank Lee and Jeff Hood, that were also outstanding players that I played with, that were not only great basketball players, but Lee in tennis and Jeff in football as well. And then there were many players that followed us after I left. John Fields here tonight, Kevin West, Alan Reisner, guys that kept the program going. In closing, my dad mentioned St. Henry and how tough that loss was on us back in '79. I haven't forgotten it in 45 years. One story that I've got, when I went to Greenville, the first thing I did was add St. Henry to the schedule in basketball and in baseball. Because of one reason, I wanted to get even. I lost 4 times to St. Henry before we finally beat them 3 times in basketball, but we beat them 3 straight in baseball. I also want to mention the competitiveness that my dad and I have. Just about 15 years ago, my dad and I, my wife, and my mother went to a Bengals and Browns game up in Cleveland. We went on a bus tour. The bus got there about 4 hours before game time. They had a cornhole tournament. During the cornhole tournament, my dad and I found out that we was up against a bracket that had a couple gentlemen from Upper Scioto Valley. Needless to say, we was competitive clear to the end of that cornhole tournament. We missed the first quarter of the ball game. We won the cornhole tournament against the 2 guys from Upper Scioto Valley. So that competition goes a long way. My father and I follow Ada basketball and sports every day. We know what's going on, how they're doing, when they have coaching changes, league changes, and what players they have coming. And in the last 45 years, I've not lost the love and respect that I have for Ada High School and for Hardin County and for Northwest Ohio. And I appreciate this award to remember the success that we had at Ada High School and in our community at that time. Go Bulldogs forever, and much success to Ada High School in Hardin County always.
And they say people forget things when it comes to sports. For our next presentation, please welcome Mr. John Fields.
Shout out to Doug, Coach Freeze. This is kind of off script, but Coach Freeze, Jeff Freeze and Doug Freeze. When you were an elementary kid, you're in 4th grade, this figure walks into the gym and you didn't play games. You dribbled, you did reverse pivots, you shot free throws, you learned how to do a jump shot. Jeff Freeze had the whole program on his shoulder. He showed us young people how to win. And Doug, he carried on that tradition to prove that Ada basketball was winners too. So congratulations, Doug. Coach Freeze, a few years ago. I appreciate that. Good evening. My name is John Fields. I want to thank the Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame for giving me a few minutes to talk about a good friend, Greg Grimsley. I graduated and played summer sports at Ada High School. I was the fastest high schooler in the county 2 years, winning the 100, 200 in the county meet. So I will try to make this a speedy conversation to an incredible win. I think in this crazy world of sports today, many people see coaches at all levels to be arrogant, self-consumed, greedy, maybe even uncaring. This is the perfect perception of Greg Grimsley. Actually, this representation is the complete opposite of what Greg has shown coaching over 45 years at Ada High School. I met Greg Grimsley during the summer of my junior year at Ada High School in 1979, prior to an upcoming football season. He coached defense and offensive linemen, and I was a running back and defensive back, so I really didn't have much interaction with him. But when he did have a chance to speak to me, I always remember how calm and positive his messages were to me. As I graduated and attended Ohio Northern University, our relationship continued to grow. Playing football at ONU and trying to obtain a pharmacy degree were very difficult at times. But I always had Greg for advice, encouragement, and understanding for the many hurdles you have in college, sports, and education. Because Greg had walked down a similar path that I did. However, Greg's path to Ohio Northern was completely different than mine. Greg Grimsley grew up in a family that had many directions because of his father's career. From his childhood to the day he graduated from high school, Greg attended 9 separate schools in 12 years as a student. He lived in 5 different states and ended up in 9 different cities. Most kids facing these changes and demands would have been angry, maybe rebellious, and may even lead to criminal activities. I like to believe Greg made every new stop as an adventure to make new friends, understand so many kids' different attitudes, and learn how to fit in with the various group of students he encountered every day. Greg finally made it to Ada and attended Ohio Northern University in 1974. He studied political science and went on to attend law school from 78 to 81. Again, while setting his sights on law school, he played football at Ohio Northern for 4 years. Just like his changes in school districts, Greg started out as a defensive back, but soon transferred to defensive tackle. Again, let me repeat myself. He went from defensive back to defensive tackle. Nobody does that. The crazy thing is he started 3 years as that defensive tackle and was named Outstanding Defensive Player of the Year for the Polo Bears his senior year. Once again, Greg found a way to fit in with his football team and at Ohio Northern. During his time in Ada, Greg fell in love with 2 things. First, he fell in love with the small town atmosphere you get in Ada. Greg's 4 years as an undergrad and 3 years at law school were the longest periods of his life that he had stayed in more than one place. He also fell in love with Pam Herschel. Pam herself was going to school to get her pharmacy degree. Her and Greg dated for a small period and soon were married. They would have 2 sons later in their marriage, Kyle and Eric. Greg doesn't stick his chest out much when he knows he's got a good thing, but he sure does all the time when he speaks of Kyle and Eric, and especially Pam. They have made a great team throughout their lives together. Pam puts Greg in his place when he steps out of line, and Greg takes his scoldings like a true husband and says nothing. She has been a wonderful wife and a mother, as his 2 sons are remarkable men. Now, I always asked him why he never left Ada, and he would always say to me that this was the first time he had roots in the community, and it felt good. So he and Pam made Ada a part of their life and would raise their children there too. Now, the reason we are here tonight is to talk about Greg's coaching career. As I mentioned earlier, he started coaching at Ada High School in '79. He would coach football as a varsity assistant from '79 to 2005. He would then coach Ada junior high football from 2008 to 2013. Since 2013, he has been a volunteer coach for the junior high program. In track, he was an assistant varsity coach from 1980 to 1989. He then became the head coach, girls and boys varsity head coach from 1989 to 2013. He has been a volunteer assistant coach from track from 2017 to 2024, and he was named the district track coach of the year in 2013. Greg has had his hands in developing young athletes at every football position that there is on a team. He has coached pretty much every track event a young person would want to learn how to compete in. Greg wasn't a quarterback or an offensive guard. He wasn't a high hurdler or a long jumper either. But whatever the head coach asked him to help with or get the most out of a young athlete, they would ask Greg to do it. He would attend seminars, he would read up on certain events, he would do his homework. All he ever asked from his athletes, from them, were to do their part of their work hard in practice, understand mentally the game or the event, and have a positive attitude when competing. Greg knew how to understand the young athletes' attitudes, their goals, and their physical skills. Greg knew how to fit in, just like all the schools he attended. Greg has had over 50 track athletes qualify for the state track meet. 20 of those athletes have placed in the meet. He has had 6 runner-ups, 5 third-place finishers, and he has come so close to seeing a couple of his runner-ups just miss out on a state championship by an inch or two. That's a nice career that most people would love to have. But Greg has also run a law firm in Ada with his partner Mike Hood, helping people in the Hardin County for over 40 years. Greg has also served as a Hardin County Municipal Court judge since 2005, and for 20 years serving and protecting this county on lawful issues. He will retire at the end of this term in December of 2025. He's also told me that he officiated basketball for 27 years and has kept the scoreboard for over 20 years at Ada and High Northern. Dan, can I get a big thank you from everyone for those 40 years? The reason I'm here tonight is to talk about Greg Grimslett is purely personal. As I stated earlier, we met in 1979 as a player, Greg as a coach. We soon became good friends as I was going to Northern and he was establishing his law career. I would soon move out of Ada after graduating and would give Greg a call when I came back into town to see my mom or see other friends. Greg became a valuable member to the Fields family for a long time. My father, mother, our entire family have needed Greg, unfortunately, as a lawyer and a friend. Every one of us thinks the world of Greg and Pam. My father usually did not have much to say good about a lot of people. Never said anything bad about Greg, but only good things. That is an accomplishment. What comes so easy for Greg is how he treats people. He treats everyone with respect, kindness, and understanding. It comes so easy for him. He's a fantastic listener, which is hard to do. If you talk to him about a problem or seek his advice, he lets you talk, and when he does answer, he gives you the process to understand or think about how to solve your situations so that you can come to your own decision. He does go out of his way to do the nicest and easiest things that sometimes people take for granted. Many times Greg would be out there on a Saturday or a Sunday if an athlete wanted to get a little more practice on their craft, if they were throwing the shot or discus, or practicing the relay handoff, or getting out of the starting blocks just a little bit faster. As we started raising our separate families, Greg and I didn't see much of each other, but always stayed in contact. My children grew up listening to me talk about my many friends, and when they started to understand adults, they too saw the qualities in Greg that I've talked about today. On December 9th, 2018, I received a text from Kyle, Greg's oldest, that his father had had a heart attack the previous night while attending the Cincinnati Zoo with his family. The sons had to give him CPR, and the emergency squad had to shock his heart to restart it. Greg lived for 8 minutes. 8 minutes. 8 minutes. Had no pulse and was not breathing. Greg, 10 days later, had a quadruple bypass that lasted 10 hours and sits with us today. Greg will be 6 years old on December 8th this year with a new life that was given to him. Greg and I have talked several times about why God allowed him a second chance, why younger and healthier individuals didn't get the second chance. Both of us agree we don't know why. We don't have any answers. I have prayed and thought on this matter, and this is my conclusion. I don't think God gave Greg a second chance to redo, relive, things that he might want to rethink. I think God gave everyone that has spent any time with Greg to rethink what he has meant to all of us. I think God wanted me to appreciate what kind of a person I had with Greg as a friend. I know I felt like crap those 10 days leading up to his bypass surgery. I reread the text when preparing this speech from Kyle, asking every day how his father was doing. I called Pam the morning of his surgery. I hadn't heard her voice since all of this that had happened. All I wanted to do was tell Greg to be strong and it wasn't his time to go. But all I did was cry like a baby, telling her, don't let him die. I cried like a baby rereading those texts too. Since that day, I've appreciated my friendship, my love for my friend. We talk more on the phone, we text more often, and we try to do more things together, going to events or even vacations. We are part of each other's family more. He officiated my daughter's wedding in Houston, Texas 2 years ago. I've lost both my parents, and he has lost his father since his rebirth. We both helped each other in those times of grief. But when I said I think God wanted me, I think he wanted everyone to appreciate Greg, and I think that occasions like this is part of God's plan. Greg was inducted into ADA's Hall of Fame a year and a half ago, and tonight he's getting his recognition here for Hardin County. I also know he gave a lot of people who had Greg touch their lives reflect on what Greg brought to their lives and appreciate that. Most people in the world have a very short sports career. But when you meet someone that short of time who wants to see you get the most out of your ability, who wants to see you mature, and wants to help you just be a good person, you were lucky Greg Grimswood was your coach. And if Greg Grimswood wasn't your coach, and you met him off the field, he would make you feel the same. Finally, Greg is not a saint, not even an angel. He has his faults. He's very passionate about his Notre Dame Irish. He pretends he's not, but he does squeal a little bit louder and more when they are doing good, and he uses bad language when they are doing badly. He drinks too many Diet Cokes, and he cheats on his diets on occasions, maybe more than one occasion. Also, don't go to the casino with him, because you will come out the loser, and he will be the winner. My wife hates him so much for this. Also, only Greg could have a heart attack at the entrance of the Cincinnati Zoo with a cardiologist and two critical care nurses standing in line with him. So please understand, Greg is not one in a million. He is special. But every one of us knows someone like Greg in our community or in our family. Tell them, show them how much you appreciate them in your life. Do not wait until something tragic happens to them or you. So, this once gifted sprinter who has been up here talking like a marathoner will stop talking and introduce to these beautiful people my most loved and appreciated friend, the Honorable Greg Grimswood.
Thank you, John, for those kind words. Feeling is mutual. I want to thank the committee for this great honor. Was far from the greatest athlete growing up, but athletics were very important in my life. John mentioned the fact that I moved a lot. Athletics gave me an opportunity moving into new school districts to have a ready-made group of friends and people that you could contact and get along with, because it isn't easy going into a new school with going in cold, not knowing anybody. So athletics is very important in building relationships. And again, I want to thank the committee for their recognition of this. We talk about relationships that athletics create. In this room tonight, my first boss at ADA was the presenter, Gene Fries was the athletic director when I was first hired as a football coach at Ada. So he was my boss for a few years till he ended up moving to Norwalk. Tom Simmons, who will be a presenter here in a little bit, was on my first football team that I coached at Ada. I also look out here, the Beechners. My younger brother and Ron's older brother are probably quote-unquote best friends, and they have been since they met in college. And both of them came to Northern because of athletics as part of the reason. Neither one of them developed into athletes while they were there, but they really came. It is important that high school athletics be respected and appreciated by parents as well as the communities. Obviously, there is a great need for interscholastic athletics as a whole in the education system. People recognize the fact that there is more to athletics than winning or losing. There's the other things you learn from it. How to work as a team, how to persevere, how to work towards a goal. Otherwise, as I always have said at Ada quite a bit, in speeches I give there, 50% of the teams lose every night. So does that mean 50% of half the high school athletic teams are failures? No, because there's purpose for that is much greater than you're learning other things other than wins or losses. You're striving to win. You're working hard to win, but not everybody can win. In my years of coaching, the athlete who doesn't stand on the podium or whatever the successes they see in their creation and work in the track especially needs a lot to see this reason for athletics. You at that point in time have someone who's improved their last in a race one night, and a month later they're third from last. But their times have dropped a bunch. So you can see success in what you're doing. And Tom Brady recently gave a speech, and he talked about high school kids and athletes, and told parents, you need to tell your kid to play football. Well, I'm not telling your kid to play football. You can play football, soccer, whatever, but you need to have your kid play an athletic event. Why? Because it's hard, is what he's going at. Life is hard. So they need to experience that. They need to know in the summer, come now, it used to be in August, now it's in July, that when they get up to go to 2 days or soccer practice or volleyball practice at 6 in the morning while all their friends are sleeping, there's a reason for that. And they need to be recognized for that. And then also learn that sometimes when you do that, you're still not going to win that game on Friday night. Okay? You can learn as much from a loss. It takes more credit from an athlete, in my opinion, to go to practice in a season when you're 2-6 than a team that's 8-0, as far as the hard part of practices and the dirty part of it and stuff. That's character building. And I think that's one of the greatest things I've observed athletics do in the school setting. And obviously, I'm up here not because I played football at Northern and was the Pneumatic Award winner my senior year. I'm up here because I coached a bunch of athletes in Hardin County, Ohio. And I tell you what, I have learned more from coaching those athletes than those athletes have ever taught me during that period of time. And it is wonderful to be recognized for dealing with that many youth during a period of time. And I appreciate it all. I thank you all. And have a good evening. Thank you.
Next, please welcome the lectern, Coach Jared Thomas.
Good evening. Let me first start by just thanking the committee to allow me the opportunity to introduce Mr. Fish as a new member of the Sports Hardin County Hall of Fame. All right. As a head coach, there are several popular terms that we often hear while we prepare for each season that have been determined to help our programs become successful. Terms like leadership, initiative, teamwork, goal setting, discipline, grit, stakeholders, and of course, one of the more popular terms we hear a lot of is culture. However, over the years, I have come to prefer the classic phrase, it takes a village. As an educator, we are often told that the very first coworkers you should become close to are the custodians and the secretaries so they can help support our efforts to teach our students. In the world of coaching, there are many important members of our village that need to be present in order for us to be successful. The honoree that I'm introducing tonight has been a steadfast member of our team and other teams in our district for a very long time. Ken Fish was a graduate of Bridgeway in 1962. Like many educators, Mr. Fish had a math teacher named Charles Jolliffe that helped inspire a love for teaching. With Mr. Jolliffe's influence, Mr. Fish set his sights on being a strong math teacher, and he graduated from Bluffton College in 1966. Right from the start, he really enjoyed encouraging his students to find a passion for the world of mathematics. Additionally, many of us can recall attending his chemistry and physics classes and seeing that classic Mr. Fish smile when he could see the wheels turning from his students as we worked to solve a challenging problem that he had set before us. He modeled to his male students a sense of professionalism and respect that we could strive to emulate. He pushed his students to reach their full potential and reminded them not to give up just because the problem was difficult. Although, like many educators, Mr. Fish would wear many hats throughout his years of teaching, and several of those would be in an effort to support students in their athletic endeavors. Mr. Fish got his start as a basketball statistician at Bloomfield, Seneca County, and had an additional stop at Blue Creek High School in Paulding County. But it wouldn't be over there. As a math and science teacher at Hardin Northern, he kept stats for Coach Gene Geckel and the memorable 1972 Polar Bears. However, Mr. Fish would not limit his sport to just the boys in the gymnasium. In the spring, he could also be found out on Hardin Northern's track, keeping time and ensuring that the meet was run efficiently. Mr. Fish can even recall working out on the track while it was still cinder before the new track was added to our campus in 1978. Additionally, in those early years of his teaching career, you could find him in the fall as a regular member of the beloved Chain Gang, and he spent a season in the press box as well. In fact, Mr. Fish has helped support 18 track coaches, 8 boys and 10 girls, 13 head football coaches, and 18 head basketball coaches. Imagine the amount of student athletes that he came in contact and impacted as well. Without a doubt, Mr. Fish has made an impact on so many lives in and out of our classroom, including my own. As a new head coach, I cannot say enough about his role on our team. He constantly supported our players and our coaching staff. He always made sure that each specific game scenario was professionally communicated, and he knew the important statistical information that we would need to track in order to be successful. I am confident that Mr. Fish was using sports analytics before it became so popular in professional sports and later has bled down to our high school arenas. I will forever cherish our bus ride conversations home as we reviewed free throw shooting and its importance to the game. Finally, I would like to say thank you to Mr. Fish from the entire community and the school district. We have been truly blessed to have you as a member of our village. Ladies and gentlemen, it's with great honor that I present to you Mr. Ken Fish.
I have several thank yous. First for Jared, when he's talking there, I wondered who he was talking about there for quite a few minutes there. But thanks for that. Also to Jim Holman for nominating me. And my daughter Lisa for keeping secrets and getting information to Jim for the plaque and so forth. Also, as everybody else up here, thanking the Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame Committee for selecting me. Was really shocked when they came to Hardin Northern School and announced my name and so forth. I'm sitting there looking, wondering who was next and so forth after they announced Larry. And then my name was next. I'd like to also congratulate all the new members of the class of 2024 Hall of Fame. When it was announced that I was a member of the class of 2024 Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame, I was wondering what to say. I am a statistician scorekeeper, not a coach or an athlete, never have been. During my first 2 or 3 years of teaching, I decided they could not pay me enough to be a coach or an administrator. That's a few other people who say no, but that's me. I would help out with athletic events of other kinds and so forth. As Jared said, I started my teaching career at Bloomville High School in Seneca County. During my first year of teaching at Bloomville, Joe Godfrey, the basketball coach, came up to me, being a new teacher, you know, get you into everything they can get you into. He says, have you ever kept a basketball scorebook? No. I told him, and he says, well, you can do it. Well, 50-some years later, I'm still working at it, trying to figure out how to do it. I learned quickly to do it, write down things quickly, as we had a gym, and there was one picture up here that showed me sitting with the wall right behind me. That's how much room we had on the one side. If any of you know Van Loon's gym, it's very similar to it, only a little smaller. Over the back line, the 10-second line was like 6 feet short of the mid-court line. So you had to write down things quickly. The thing I remember during those 3 years there, besides meeting a lot of good friends and so forth, we had a home game against Hopewell Loudon. My wife had been sick. It was the first time she'd been back to a game. Went quadruple overtime. Later this season, we had to play them again at their place. Double overtime. Drew them the first game of the tournament. Regulation time. Bloomville, where I was teaching, won all 3 of them. During the 3 years at Bloomville, I believe that they did not lose a total of, in the 3 years, of over 12 games. I think it was closer to 10 games in 3 years. And 3 of those would be tournament games. I then, as Jared said, I then kept score for 2 years at Blue Creek in Paulding County. In the fall of '72, I came to Hardin Northern the year after they went to the regional tournament. Coach was supposed to have a winning team. You win 1 year, you're supposed to win the next year. The only problem was, he had 2 letter winners back. Between the 2 of them, they had 30 quarters of play and 30 points scored between the 2 of them. Had a very good JV team, mostly sophomores, that was winning easily. So the coach decided we had a non-league game with Riverdale. We're going to go to Riverdale, and we're going to start the JV game with these 5 sophomores. They played the first half, sat down the whole second half. And the only time in my career keeping score, the same 5 players started the varsity game. Because you can only play 4 quarters a night at that time. So that was the only time I had. Other times there's been 1 player or 2 players, but never all 5. I don't remember the score of the game or anything. I don't know if they won them, but I know they were leading both games by at halftime, convincingly and so forth. During the years of keeping the basketball scorebook, the other thing I've had to deal with was rule changes. When I first started, as somebody else said, there was no 3-point line. They've also changed how many fouls there are when you shoot and how many you shoot. They changed that this year again. And the length of timeouts. We originally had 5 timeouts, then they went to 4, then they went back to 3 and 2 and changed that. The other thing I'd like to do, and there's one picture up here, I wish I could point it out. There's a guy from Pandora. Is it right there now? My people back here are telling me. Guy with the mustache is Armin Habiger. We started keeping score together in the BBC the same year, 72, 73. And we're both still keeping scorebook. So if we get together, it's like 106 years of total scorekeeping. I would like to thank all the other scorekeepers I've kept score with. I've learned a lot from them, and hopefully they've learned some things from me with that number of years and so forth. As football at Hardin Northern, I've run the clock most of the time. First year, 2 years, I ran the chain, or was on the chain gang. After that, I've been up in the press box, running the timekeeper and so forth. And this fall, I hope to be, if I'm able to be there, hope to be there in my third press box that we've had at the station there. I don't have much contact with the coaches to do with basketball coaches. I believe we're with 13 coaches, numerous assistant coaches. I do remember a couple times that Coach Pete Bruno would yell at me if I stopped the clock too quickly or too slowly. He would be yelling at me. As for track, I don't remember when Coach Stan would ask me to help. I helped time on the old cinder track, the 6-lane all-weather track, now the 8-lane track, although now we're into computers, so it's not quite as bad. I've also helped with several county meets, several Ram Invitational meets, 45 Hardin Northern Invitational meets, and again, got a couple of them here. I'd love to thank all the people who've helped me time over the years and so forth, but it takes, up until the last few years, it takes a lot of people to run a track meet. As far as timing, we went from, if I remember right, the first year we used wind-up watches. Then we went to battery-operated watches, and the first ones we had took, and if you know what they mean, 4 C battery cells in it, so they weighed about a pound each, I think. Now we're doing computer timing and so forth, a lot easier. There was one picture, and I know I saw it up here someplace, I don't know where it's at now. One of my favorites, it shows me holding the blocks. I'm standing with the stopwatch, holding the blocks for one of the runners. In the background is my daughter Lisa holding the blocks for somebody else. On behind that is my son back there holding the string for the finish line. And I wanted to add to that, probably my wife is home wondering when they're going to get home so we can have supper around here and so forth. But, anyway, they were all involved with me then. In closing, I'd like to thank all the coaches that have allowed me to help them, which has been, as Jared said, a bunch of them, and I've really enjoyed it over the years. Again, a big thank you to the Hardin Northern Sports Hall of Fame for honoring me. Thanks again.
Up next, please welcome Hardin County Sports Hall of Famer, Mr. Jerry Burry.
First thing I'd like to mention is my congratulations to the class of 24 for their induction. As I looked at the front of the program, I coached against Gene Freeze. I coached against Doug Freeze. I went to college with Ken Fish. Larry Dickinson was one of my best friends. And I remember Paige Peace from high school playing volleyball at Hardin Northern. So pretty familiar with the bunch, and congratulations. It's a great honor and something you'll appreciate for many, many years. Here tonight to recognize Larry and introduce to you Larry Dickinson. Graduated from Ridgeway High School in 1959, and I thought I'd be the oldest person in the room, but I don't think I'm quite the oldest, but I'm just about the oldest. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about Hardin County basketball in the 50s. Most of you probably don't remember basketball in Hardin County in the 50s. There were 7 schools. They were small schools, and then there was the city school of Kenton and the exempted village school of Ada. But the 7 Hardin County schools played a double round robin schedule, played each other twice, and they would go to Ohio Northern in the Taft Gym and play the Hardin County tournament. The 2 winners from the tournament, the winning champion and the runners-up, but then go on to the sectional tournament. So a lot's changed since the 50s. I want to give you some names out of the 50s that you may or may not have heard of. The Roundhead Indians have a great player by the name of Bob Lowry. The Elger Eagles had a great scorer by the name of Cash Allen. McGuffey Rockets had a great scorer by the name of Russ Weingartner. Hardin Northern had a great scorer and ball handler, Dave Sherrick. Forest Rangers had a great basketball player and football player, Don Lease. The Mount Victory Green Devils had a great scorer, his name was Walt Baroker. And of course, Ridgeway had Larry Dickinson. First saw Larry play when I was probably an ninth grader, and I thought to myself, after watching him play, boy, someday I wish I could shoot like him. He had the fastest, quickest feet and hands, and he could get a shot off before the defense could ever react. And at that point, he was kind of somebody I really looked up to because I was a little bit younger. In his high school career, a lot of the stats you can see in your program, but if you stop and think about those, he earned 12 varsity letters. Now, this was a high school of probably 80 kids, 9 through 12. He had 12 varsity letters. He scored 1,534 career points. There was only 18 games a year. There was no three-point line. His junior year, he averaged 28.1 points per game. And if you stop and think about that, there would be games that he wouldn't score 28 points. So there had to be a lot of games that he scored a lot more than 28 points. And that's a tremendous amount of average to keep up for the entire year. Because of that, he was named first team All-Ohio in 1958. And since 1958, which was 66 years ago, there's not been very many people make first team All-Ohio basketball. So that was a tremendous accomplishment. He was also a really good baseball player. Then after he graduated from high school, he played a lot of softball. He barnstormed around the county, playing basketball, baseball, and softball. In 1963, Ridgeway and Mount Victory consolidated. And after a consolidation, a lot of people remained loyal to their original schools. They have a hard time accepting the consolidation, and they stay loyal to each of their schools. Larry was an exception to that rule. The year they consolidated, he went from being a Ridgeway Tiger to a Ridgemont Golden Gopher. And he remained loyal to that school district his entire life. He gave himself 20 years of coaching. He coached his daughters. He coached JV basketball. He coached varsity basketball. Anything the school district needed, he was there to provide it for them. So he had a great service for the community. I think, as I do Larry really well, I think he had three great passions in life. The first one was his family, his wife Cora and his two daughters, Laura and Lisa, his grandchildren. His second great passion was the Ridgemont School, the Ridgemont District, the Ridgemont Athletics, and all of Hardin County. Because as county teams advanced through the tournaments, you would always see Larry sitting on the front row of the gym, whether it was a sectional, district, or regional tournament. And I was athletic director for several years at Ridgemont, and anytime I needed help, Larry was there to help me. The third great passion in his life was his horses. And he loved going to horse shows, and he and his daughter Lisa spent a lot of time going to horse shows. In closing, Larry was a lifelong Hardin County resident. He was very dedicated to the county and to the school. It's been 65 years since he graduated, and some of his records still stand. He certainly has all the qualifications and the credentials to be admitted to become a member of the Hardin County Hall of Fame, and I highly recommend that. and thank you.
We got a plaque if someone wants to come here and claim it. If not, go somewhere with me. And with Photoshop, I can put my picture on there.
Thank you, congratulating everyone tonight for being elected. On behalf of myself and my family, we'd like to say thank you for the special award. We are honored that you have chosen our father. We know he will be very proud and be very grateful. Thank you to the selection committee for the award, and it was very special. And I really want to thank Jerry for putting all this together and really fighting to get that into the Hall of Fame, knowing how much it means to him and how much it means to us. So thank you for your work.
Our next inductee is Paige Peace Curls. Paige is a 1988 graduate of Hardin High School. Now, the word star is thrown around a lot in today's world, but I think in this case it applies. Paige excelled in 3 sports at Hardin. She's a 3-year letter winner in volleyball, basketball, and was also the Blanchard Valley Conference Player of the Year in both sports. Then in the spring, she found time to earn All-State honors in track, not once but twice. So yeah, that's a lot. After high school, she attended the University of Cincinnati, graduating in 1992. She earned 4 varsity letters there and ranks in the top 10 in Bearcat history in several statistical categories. Paige can be here tonight, so accepting her ring and plaque will be Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame member Coach Beth Elwood.
Paige wasn't able to be here tonight. Her family had planned a vacation ahead of time, and I think she's in Hawaii basking in the sun someplace. So I just have a few words here, not a lot. I'm honored to accept the Hall of Fame recognition on Paige's behalf. And I guess I have firsthand knowledge knowing that Paige was an incredible athlete for the Hardin Northern Polar Bears and also the Cincinnati Bearcats. Paige is very grateful for the honor, and thanks to the committee for all those involved. And also I want to thank her aunt and uncle for being here tonight. I really appreciate that.
For our next presentation, please welcome the Director of Athletics at Ohio Northern University, Mr. Thompson.
Should have said, come up, Tom, and let's do a few minutes here. He's doing his best.
We'll start the clock till then.
Ball falls this way.
Thank you all, and thanks for your indulgence in getting up here. Congratulations to all the inductees. I'm a little self-conscious about not being a COVID tie right now, but I can't pull that off, so no disrespect to the inductees. There's so many things I could say about Ron Beachler. We attended the university together starting in the mid-'80s, and I know there's a lot of our friends who wouldn't have bet that we'd be standing here tonight, let alone at Ohio Northern for as long as we've both been there. And it's really going to be a challenge for me to sum up his 36 years of dedication in the 5 minutes I was given. So I just to scratch the surface, I'm going to get right at it. And I think you're going to get the point. If you know Ron, tonight's induction might be a little bit uncomfortable. Because if there was this line of people out here looking for recognitions and accolades, he'd be in the back of the line. Matter of fact, we'd probably have to drag him to get in that line. So, Ron is that true team player who wants the best for his family, his students, our athletic department, and Ohio Northern University. It's truly not about him. 36 years as head coach at wrestling in Ohio Northern. He has 391 victories. His assistants have 257 losses. He's obviously the winningest wrestling coach in our history. And he's done so many things. And past chair of the NCAA Division III Wrestling Committee. NCAA Wrestling Secretary Rules Editor for all divisions, divisions 1, 2, and 3. This guy literally wrote the book. No one argues the rules with Ron. And it's fun to hear some of the stories. Nobody argues the rules with him. He's the past president of the National Wrestling Coaches Association for all divisions. He's been honored by the National Wrestling Coaches Association with the United States Marine Corps Leadership Award. The National Wrestling Coaches Association Hall of Fame. Ron has coached every national champion or national runner-up Ohio Northern has ever had, which even most recently this spring. He has coached every wrestler who holds an individual record at Ohio Northern. Ron recruited and coached the most accomplished wrestler in our history, Kyle Quiet, who is our current assistant coach, who won the NCAA Division III National Championship 2 years in a row and was a 4-time All-American. Ron has a 2-time NCAA Elite 90 award winner, which is given every year to the student athlete at every national championship in the NCAA, the student athlete with the highest grade point average. Incidentally, Cody Lovejoy was a pharmacy major, which is as challenging as any academic major. 24 total All-Americans, 171 All-Ohio Athletic Conference wrestlers. All of the 40 wins in one season student athletes, which there are 9 of ours in our history, were coached by Ron. 40 wins in a season, in one season, is significant. Multiple OAC Coach of the Year award honors. 93 NWCA Scholar All-Americans, and 17 Team Scholar Awards. Monday morning, he's going to ask me for a raise. Perhaps as important to him as anything are the academic pursuits of his students. And I think I can say with confidence, he'd rather they get a college degree than wrestle. And you say what you want about athletics and college athletics, but we're educators, and Ron is an educator. But there's so much more to Ron than a wrestling match. And this is where I can't possibly give him his due. As a faculty member, he served as a chair of the Human Performance and Sports Sciences Department while being a head coach. He has served numerous campus committees, and his respect across the campus is unquestioned. I was a very fortunate athletic director when I started at Ohio Northern because I inherited this guy on my staff who has sat across from my office from the very beginning. And let me tell you from the heart, Ron Beachler is the gold standard. I asked a couple colleagues and competing coaches for some words. Mike Duffy, longtime coach and AD at Adrian College, said Ron is an outstanding professional, great coach, all-around good human being. He had the coach's respect. And of course, Larry Shank was a longtime wrestling head coach at West Liberty in Heidelberg. He said, when I think of Beach, I think when it comes down to competition and respect, there is no better guy. He respected the athletes, the competition, his competitors, and the sport. He had and has everyone's admiration. The leaders have their go-to person in whom they can count on when they're in a pinch, and Ron's that guy. Because when he makes a commitment, you can take it to the bank. His word is as sure as that sun's going to come up tomorrow morning. Recently, we had this staffing opportunity where I was allowed to break out our NCAA rules compliance with not only the NCAA, but the Ohio Athletic Conference and our university, because rules compliance and eligibility standards are critical. And Ron was my immediate and natural choice. And he was named Assistant Athletic Director for Compliance. It's a huge job, and I can be comfortable knowing that we're always between the lines. It wasn't a brilliant decision on my part, it was a natural decision. He's a dedicated husband, father, and grandfather. He and Christy have an amazing family. So I am tremendously honored to introduce Ron Beechler as one of our inductees in the Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame. His credentials are without question, but the best honor for me is I can introduce my friend, Ron Beechler.
Thank you, Tom, for those kind words. Before I get started, I want to make sure everybody understands that I'm OTR today. So if I start getting teary-eyed and stuff, it's nothing to do with anything I'm talking about tonight. It's the weeds, the dust, and everything else I dealt with today. First of all, I would like to congratulate the other inductees. Quite an honor for all of us. I'm very proud to go in. Grizz, I've known forever, but Grizz, I do have to straighten out the thing about our brothers. They did compete once at Ohio Northern. Now, it was in the Greek Olympics. And I think they got second in the beer chugging contest. So, I'm not really making that up. So, thank you to the Hall of Fame committee for my selection. I've run a lot of tournaments over the years, and I know the work that goes in behind hosting an event like this. You guys have done a wonderful job to make this a very special evening for all of us. And that does not go unnoticed by me, so thank you very much for the committee and your continued work for Hardin County. I did find it interesting, though, that Tom read out some stats, but I have never scored a point for Ohio Northern wrestling. Not one. In 36 years. But I have gotten 3 team points taken away. So, you are inducting somebody who over a career statistical average, and I calculated this, I have scored a negative .0833 scoring average for Ohio Northern. So I'm not setting the bar very high to get into the Hardin County Hall of Fame. Woody Hayes, we all know who Woody was, and if you don't, you should. Shame on you if you don't. But my very first year as a head coach, we received, I was also coaching football at that time, we received a promotional poster in the mail. And it was scarlet background, white lettering, and it was Woody Hayes' quote, "You win with people." Football coach at the time received that. He was an Illinois graduate. He didn't want it. I just became the head wrestling coach, who was also coaching football. So I hung that. It's the first thing I ever hung in my office. And I said, okay, that's what I want to mold myself after, that you win with people. And at that time, I thought that meant in recruiting, you got to find the good recruits. Okay? It didn't take me long to figure out that's not what Woody was talking about. Okay? This is where that asthma stuff starts kicking in here a little bit. That has hung in my office for 36 years. And I see it every day, but I really don't look at it. Well, the other day I stopped and looked at it. That scarlet background is not scarlet anymore. It's faded to a gray color. And I hadn't noticed that. But the lettering's not yellow yet, so the lettering's still white. But I really, as I looked on it, I hung that poster up, and athletes are the ones who win competitions, not coaches. Okay? Our job is to get them ready for competition. Okay? But we don't score the points. We don't do the work. You can say some sports where a coach calls the play. Doesn't matter what play you call. If they don't execute it, it's not going to work. Doesn't matter what offense you run. Doesn't matter what defense you run. The athletes have to be prepared, and they're the ones that have to execute it. Okay. So as I start tonight, I started to think about that you win with people. So I'm going to go with that theme tonight. First of all, you win with people. My parents, my 2 brothers, my sisters, 2 sisters. My mom's proud tonight. My dad's been going for quite a few years. She's probably laughing right now. There's no way that boy did that. Okay. I could not have grown up or find better people to have as family. Okay. We grew up in Wyandotte County, no different growing up in Hardin County. Grew up on a farm, you learned how to work. Nothing came easy. Okay. Parents made sure of that. I had 2 older brothers, 2 older sisters, and never, I don't think any competition or sport that I have ever competed in that I did not have a brother or sister who already did it. They were pretty damn good. And I don't know if I ever outdid any of them, except for the one brother. I ran the hurdles 1/10 faster than he ever ran it. Okay? I think that's the only time I ever outdid any of them. So I had great role models. Picked my parents very, very well. Love them well. That might be my best recruiting job right there, was picking the parents that I had. Mom, thank you very much, and I love you. I remember once Mom said that as far as our education was big in our family. Neither of my parents graduated from college, but they made sure 5 kids did. And I remember my mom saying one time it was her job to make sure we got an education. It was our job whether we used it or not. Okay, she couldn't control that, but she was going to make sure we got that. You win with people. Coaching mentors that I had throughout my career. Okay, one of them is sitting right over here. Chris doesn't even know this, but my first or second year, I did something, and he pulled me aside after a meeting and said, "You shouldn't do that." Okay, I've never forgotten that. But I have a lot of mentors. There's mentors who I have learned things that you should not do. Okay, I've had mentors who showed me what to do. Everybody that I've ever come across in my life to me is a mentor. I learn from them. Okay, I don't claim to be smart. I don't claim to know everything. But if I see something that'll work for me or my team, I'm stealing it. I think coaches are the best thieves there are out there. Okay? Let somebody else come up with a good idea. We'll take it and we'll apply it and make it work. Okay? So, you know, we mentioned Joe Campoli tonight, Gail Doherty, Herb Strayer, those guys. They were just coach to me. It wasn't Joe Campoli, it was coach. He was my defensive back coach for 4 years. He didn't know a hill beans about defensive backs. He was a basketball coach, and he'd tell you that, but I learned a lot from the man and loved him dearly. But anybody I think I've ever come across has been a mentor to me one way, shape, or form. You win with people. All the assistant coaches I've had over the years, I've had graduate assistants, I've had only full-time assistants, Colin, who's my current assistant coach, 2-time national champ, 4-time All-American. He made me look really good for 4 years. Okay, and he's still doing a great job with me. But I don't ever look at it that those individuals coached for me. They coached with me. We were on the same team. We were trying to accomplish the one thing. And number one is that we want the young men in our program to get that college degree. That's the most important thing. I will never put wrestling in front of that college degree. And that's the one promise I make parents when I recruit their son. I tell them, I'll guarantee you one thing, because there's only one thing I have total control of. And I will never put wrestling in front of your son's education. If they're not getting the job done in the classroom, they're not stepping on my mat. You guys know that. Okay? They're going to have their priorities straight. The administration and colleagues that I've had at Ohio Northern, Tom, we went to college together. I agree with you. There's people laughing right now for you and me. Wondering how did we ever get where we did. But Ohio Northern's a very, very special place. Okay? The academic reputation of Ohio Northern, the facilities, the support. If you can't consistently win at Ohio Northern University, you better look in the mirror. Okay? Because right there is going to be your answer why you're not winning. They give us everything we need, not everything, but they give us what we need to be successful. Tom has not only been a friend, but he's been my boss. And when I was the department chair, I was his boss and he was my boss. I'm never sure how that ever worked out. Okay, that was an interesting dynamic. Okay, but he and the university, the president, I think I'm on my 4th president now at Ohio Northern, they allow me to run the program the way I want to run the program. But I always make sure it's within the mission, vision, and values of Ohio Northern University. If you do that, you're going to be successful at Ohio Northern. You can't lose if you're smart enough to figure that out. And I think every coach, the legendary coaches I've already mentioned tonight, they've all figured that same thing out. Okay? It's the university that will allow you to recruit the athletes you need that will win. They're good quality individuals. You win with people. The hundreds of student athletes that I've coached. Here again, coaches don't win athletic events. My job is to prepare them for competition. I'm not the one going to be out there, but my philosophy has also always been don't overcoach them. Okay?
Too many coaches I've seen over the years think they're smarter than everybody else. No one's ever accused me of that, number one, and I've never thought that either, okay? But my job is to recruit good young men that want to get a degree from Ohio Northern, have a passion for wrestling, and my main job is to not screw them up. And I look at it that way. My job is not to screw you up. I'm going to let you be you and be an athlete. They're young men, they will make mistakes. Okay, but that is how you learn to get better. That is how you learn to become a champion, is by making mistakes. Now, granted, we don't want to make too many mistakes, okay? But you've got to let them be them, and you've got to coach them and guide them, but you got to let them be themselves as well. I think in one that always comes out to mind, you know, like Tom said, I've been very fortunate to sit in the corner of national championships, everything else, but the one young man who still has my most eternal respect, young man named Mike Murray. Kid never won a match in 4 years. I tried everything to get this kid a match to win. Down to where one night he wrestled 5 matches, one right after another. We didn't have the time allotment then. It was the last outing for the JVs of the year. We were over at Heidelberg. Heidelberg's coach was one of my past assistant coaches. He knew coming in I was going to get Mike Murray a win. We had him wrestle a match. He lost. Okay, so you got anybody else? I got another. He lost again. We got through 5 matches. Jason was like, I'm out of guys. I don't have anybody else. I said, we got to find him another one. Mike Murray walked up to me and said, Coach, I know what you're trying to do. I appreciate it, but I'm really tired and I don't want to wrestle. There's a young man that stuck through the sport of wrestling for 4 years and never won a match. He's a great husband, has 2 daughters. They both come to Ohio Northern. He was a youth wrestling coach. He knew the technique. He knew wrestling. He just didn't have that athletic ability to be able to do it the way it needed to be done to a high level. Okay, but of all the guys I've coached, Mike Murray is still the one that I admire the most. Because there's no way you would have got me to wrestle or do any sport for 4 years if I didn't get a win. Okay? I understand losing, but I like to win. Okay, but to have that tenacity, to keep working and trying at that, and never have that success, and that young man sends me a check every month for $50. Okay, because he appreciates what Ohio Northern did to him and for him, and what we did for him. Okay, it's not hard recruiting for Ohio Northern. After I figured out how to recruit for Ohio Northern. Okay, when I first started, I thought it was about winning with people. You got to find that guy who's a great wrestler. Okay, it didn't take me long to figure out that it's not about finding the right wrestler. Priority, and this has been my philosophy for the last 30 years. In recruiting, you have to find individuals who fit Ohio Northern University first. And then I ask them one question. Do you want to see how good of a wrestler you can become? I don't care if you won a state title. I don't care if you didn't make it to the state tournament. What you do or do not accomplish on a high school wrestling mat has zero bearing on what you can or will accomplish on a college mat. What makes the difference is you. Those are the guys that I go after. Those are the guys that have been successful for me. Okay, because I recruit understanding what it takes to be at Ohio Northern University first and foremost. And that's probably why we've had that many Scholar All-Americans. I would love to sit here and tell you it's because the study table I run their freshman year 2 nights a week for 2 hours where I'm trying to teach them how to sit down and study. The kids that get the grades that do that, they really don't need that study table. It just makes me feel better that I'm part of it. Okay. Win with people, family again. My mother-in-law's here. Anna May, love you to death. Okay. Thank you for letting me into your family and marrying your daughter. Okay. I really think I had a pretty good in going in when she found out I could fix things around the house. So I think she was telling Christy, you need to marry that boy. Because what I understand, Christy's dad was... No, yeah, she didn't just be a regular. That's kind of cool too. Okay. But my wife's family's accepted me into their family, just like our own or their own. And I appreciate all their love and support that they give me, as well as my immediate family. Okay. Our sons, John, Christopher, and Zachary, 3 boys, no wrestlers.
and I was perfectly fine with that, okay? I wanted them to find their passion. This was my passion, didn't have to be their passion, okay? They all found their passion. Christy and I are extremely proud of them. John's raising two of his children of his own. I don't think it's easy being a son of a coach. There was many times during the wrestling season that I spent more time with the wrestlers than what I spent with my own sons. And for that, I apologize to them, but they understood that as well. But I think there are coaches, and Chris, you have to tell me am I right, you coached several of my sons. I think a coach probably enjoys coaching a young man or girl whose parent was a coach. They understand things a little bit different, okay? Because they've never known anything but living in a house with a coach. My wife's never known me as anything but a coach. I was coaching when we met, okay? And that's probably right why we made it 34 years. Because I don't know, any woman that gets married and then your husband gets into coaching, something's going to give. Okay, either the marriage or the coaching. So it's very hard, but it's something that my sons, I appreciate what they've done. We're very, very proud of them. And it's athletics, and they found their passion athletically and academically. I might be in charge of the academics in the wrestling program, but Christy was at home. Unless it was history, then it was me. Everything else she took care of. But to our sons, thank you for all your commitment that you've made to me throughout the career. Okay? And if you really want to talk the ultimate win with people, the ultimate person in my life that's made me most successful, in 1987, I met this cute little girl named Christy. She was a swimmer and a tennis player. And trust me, she looked really cute in this little tennis outfits. Caught my eye real quick. But I think from the first time I met her, there was something wrong with her hatchback, and it went closed, and I went out and fixed it for her. She just turned the key and it didn't go back. It wasn't too complicated. Okay, but I think from that moment on, I knew she was the girl for me because she checked all the boxes. Not only did she fit Ohio Northern University, but she also answered the one question. She answered it correctly. Will you please marry me? 34 years tomorrow will be our anniversary. It's been a great 34 years. I love her to death. Like I said, she's been with me every step of the way. She's raising our sons. She's helping them. She coached them. She's traveled with me. She's worked the ONU tournament before, which anybody's related to me who worked the ONU tournament before. But it can't be easy being married to a coach. I think any woman who's married or guy married to a female coach, they should be up for singlet. It can't be easy. I know it's not easy. I haven't probably made it easy either. She's the main reason I've had the success I've had. Would not have been possible without her by my side. Sweetie, I love you. I love your support. Couldn't believe what my life would be like without you. So, to all the people who I've won with over the last 36 years, I thank you very much. I thank Hardin County. I thank everybody tonight. Thank you.
Each year, the Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame recognizes one of the special teams that has left an indelible mark upon our county's rich athletic history. For this year's team presentation, please welcome to the lectern, Coach Mary Ann Lubin.
First of all, congratulations to all the inductees today. It's a great honor to hear all the accomplishments and what everyone has done. I think that says we've got a great group of people here. Jeff, thanks for that introduction. And I'd like to take a moment to thank the Hardin County Hall of Fame for giving the 2008 basketball team this recognition. 16 years ago, it's hard to believe it's been 16 years that they were in the gym with me and we were playing and doing our practices. And it doesn't seem like it was that long ago because I look at them and they're still, the bubbly girls that they were back then. So thank you for giving them this opportunity. It's an honor for these women. I'm going to start with a little group participation. I know this is going to be more for them because a lot of you probably did not see them play back then, but kind of going down memory lane here. And by show of either thumbs up or thumbs down, whether you guys remember these events. First of all, we had our first game of the season at Fallen in the Burbs at Stowe. And when we went in there, our locker room had the wrong name on it. They put Ridgedale instead of Riverdale. Does anybody remember that? Okay. And it really gave us some motivation because we were playing Stowe, who was the previous year, they were the state runner-up, and we ended up beating them in that game. So that was a big accomplishment. How about quotes of the week? You guys remember those? Okay. Our year, we had a quote for the whole year, and that was teamwork makes the dream work. And this team they did that to a T. We had 6 seniors on the team, and we had a great group of underclassmen. And with those 6 seniors, they were great leaders. They did everything I asked as a coach. So quote of the week was one thing. I remember one practice, because if they didn't know the quote of the week, we have to run. And one of the girls came out with it written on her arm. So that was kind of comical, always to see that. But the week we made it, going into regionals and into state, our quote was, dream the impossible, do the incredible. Because during the year, we were not ranked at all. And going into that season, I think, we knew what we could accomplish. We made it to regionals the year before, and I think these girls took it as a mission, and that was one of the things. So we were dreaming it, and then we wanted to do that. How about wearing knee socks and wearing always matching practice gear? Remember that? Yeah. How about our locker room roll charts? The stars. What about seeing the meteor shower coming home from Eastwood, which was the scrimmage that we had? Remember that? Okay. I taught science, so that was interesting to me. What about some of our drills? Big Ben? Our 4, 8, 12, 16. And one of the things is you had to make those, it was a sprint side court, and you had to make those in a certain amount of time. And if you didn't, we had to shoot free throws to see if we could get out of running. And I remember this 2018 being one of the few groups that could make all the way to the 4, the 6, the 8, the 12, whatever I had them running. They could do that in a certain amount of time to get out of running. So Kayla Brown, thank you for that. Amy, I think you were one of them up there. We had some fast girls on our team. What about if I said defense? We love it. That was one of the things. So and then they'd all get down a defensive stance and start shuffling. So that was something they'd have to do. 10,000 shots made summer. Almost every single girl did that every year that they played for me. Jane Warren whistling our fight song. You guys remember that? What about our overtime loss to Cary? We were down by 17, came back, took it into overtime, but we waited a little bit too long to get that roll going. But that was and Cary was one of our losses that year. So we also had an overtime win against Winford at Winford. You guys remember that one? They were one of our big rivals in the NCC. Beating Bucyrus at Bucyrus for the league championship. I like seeing these thumbs go up, so that's nice. Winning the NCC for the 3rd year in a row, undefeated. And what about, this is a tough one, the song by Queen, Pressure, in our pregame warm-up song. You guys remember that? Because one of our things that our team was known for was our pressure defense. So we thought it would be cool to put the song by Queen, Pressure, into that song, and I thought that was fun. How about Jenny Motter yelling at the refs? Okay. Actually, that's on my list. So. And the guys dressing up and doing crazy things, especially during tournament, dribbling the basketball all the way to Finley. You guys remember that? So we had a great support group, and I thought, just us winning wasn't the big thing. It was the school support that we had along the way that really made this season special. These are just a few items that I was trying to remember about this team, but the thing I remember most is how competitive this group was. Like I said, we had 6 seniors, but they were leaders, and they brought the underclassmen up. We had 26 girls in the program at that time. So we had 2 JV teams and then the varsity team, and practices were so competitive. And that's what made it so much fun. during a game, I could whip up a play or, put something out there on the board, and they could execute it. They were smart girls. One of the things about them is that I look at them today and I see not just how great of mothers they are, but what they have accomplished in their 16 years. The careers that they went on to have is truly remarkable. And I think that comes from the work ethic that they had here in high school and the parents that you parents did a great job raising. I look out here and I see how many parents are here with them, that we had 55 people come for this induction. I think says a lot about this team. So I'm really proud of that fact. I'm going to go a little bit farther down memory lane here. I'd like to think we were really known for our defense. And one of the players earlier this week mentioned to me that we were known as 32 minutes of hell. I don't like to cuss that. And that was never something we knew until after the fact, after the season. And I think that says a lot about, a lot of teams didn't want to play us because they knew you got to be ready for the press off. You have to have a good press offense because they're going to put a lot of defense at you. And we won with our defense a lot of times. Our defense created our offense, and that's what made this group special. So one of our goals in our goal sheet was to always hold teams less than 40 points. And then, of course, we wanted to score more than that. And that came from just the tenacity that these girls had, playing hard the whole 32 minutes. It didn't matter who went on the court, because in this group, we had a number of girls who could have started. If I put in my 6th, 7th, 8th man, they still gave 100%, and that was what was really neat about this team. I'm going to talk a little bit about our postseason now. And with the postseason, we started off, we were the 2nd seed going into our tournament draw. And we had played Lima Central Catholic. With playing Lima Central Catholic, they were known for their outside shooting. And we came out at halftime, we were down by 3. And I remember just being so mad. And going into the locker room, I don't know exactly what I said, but I just remember being mad. And that this is not how we play. You girls are more intense than this. We came out, I remember we switched defenses, and we came out, we held them to 10 points in the whole second half. We ended up winning by quite a bit. I think I have to score here, 52-40. So that helped us go on to being sectional champs. We then moved into Findlay High School, and when we went to Findlay, we had played Evergreen. And I was pretty good friends with the Evergreen coach, and because he was friends with my high school coach. And we jumped out on them right away. It was a 20-7 first quarter lead. And I just remember it was a great game because it was a total team effort. Everyone participated, everyone got to contribute. And one of the comments that Coach Langendorfer made to me afterwards, he goes, "We're just not used to playing against your guys' speed." He goes, "We don't see that all season." And I just thought that was a compliment to them too, being able to hear that. Our second game in district finals was against Columbus Grove. And I was super nervous about this game because they had beaten us the year before in regionals. And knowing that we had that monkey on our back and they'd beaten us the year before, I was really nervous. But the girls, it was probably one of the most calm I'd seen them all season because they had a mission. And they jumped out first quarter, it was 21-11, and we basically held that game from that point on. So we ended up being district champs, moving on to regionals. In our regionals, we again had to play another team we faced the year before, which was Margaretta. And I can remember, I don't know if you girls remember this, but Margaretta fans sat right behind our bench. And we had a lot of times hearing comments that they were saying, just stay focused, stay focused. They were bigger than us. And that was something that was a little bit scary. A lot of teams were bigger than us. Mark Heyman, he was one of the sports writers for the Courier at the time, he said, "When Riverdale takes the court, other teams can't be intimidated by the Falcons' physical presence. After all, the starting 5 stands between 5'6" and 5'8". But Riverdale plays big, and that's what happened against Margaretta. We held their 6-foot post player, got her in foul trouble. We held them pretty much scoreless in the second half from the paint, and we ended up winning 58-41. So, moving on to our regional final game. This is one where we were the underdogs. We were playing Fredericktown, which was 24, they were 24-0 at the time. I don't think there were many people that thought we would have a chance to win against, they had 3 girls that were 5, I think one was 5'11", 6 foot, and 6'1", and they were all starters. And we were with a much smaller team. Going into halftime, I remember we were down by 9 points. And I just kept thinking about, do you guys remember how I used to show you motivational videos before games, before big games? Well, I showed them the Billy Donovan tape when he was coaching in Florida. And he was talking about living in the moment. How you got to put your whole heart in it and you live in that moment. Take one possession at a time and just do your thing. And we came out in the second half and we did what we needed to do. We went on a 19-4 run in the third quarter and ended up, fourth quarter we went neck and neck the whole way with them, and it came down to free throws. And we knocked down our free throws when it mattered. And that was a huge win. I remember at the end of the game, Coach Ken giving me a big hug, and the girls just there, I mean, I can remember Christy holding the trophy up, and just so many memories that we had at that moment, just punching our ticket onto state, because it was such a great memory, and I hope that's something these girls will always remember, because I know it's something I will. I know it's been 16 years, but it's still something I mean, when I was going to write my speech, I kept thinking, oh, I gotta say this, I gotta say that. And what it comes down to is these memories that we've made, and I hope that these are memories that you're gonna be able to tell your children, because I hear, Gary, your stories, and Bill, your stories from when you guys made it so far, and you were telling your daughters that. I think that's such a cool thing. So, with that in mind, I'm going to ask the girls to all come up now. We have all the girls in attendance except for one. So they're going to come up now because I've kind of given you my memory lane, and they're all going to give you. First, they're going to tell you their names, because this is something I always did at our banquets. They always had to talk. So girls, while you're coming up, I'll tell you what you need to do. They're going to say their names and what their favorite memory about state was.
Remember about basically my whole career in high school was my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, used to dress up for every single game. You never knew what he was going to walk in as. I think he did a scuba outfit, he wore a dress, there was a snowsuit, yeah, so many. So I want to thank him because we were just celebrating our 10-year anniversary, so there's that. Anywho, during the season, a lot of people, I was looking back through my basketball scrapbook today, and a lot of people, we wrote letters to each other at the end of the season, mentioned that I used to say, Jesus, take the wheel, after every time I messed up. And one time it was so loud that we heard it on the game tape when we were watching film, and Coach Doug made me do push-ups for yelling, Jesus, take the wheel during the game. So that's one memory that has stuck with me, and that's how everybody apparently remembers me.
Hello, I'm Amanda Hames, elevator here. You know what? I was just really one of those role players. So I have a ton of stories, but I do have one. So we were practicing the press, okay? And Coach Weisenberger over there told me to get in and practice the press. And I told her, Coach Wise, that press was pulled off 3.5 quarters ago. I don't need to practice the press. So, yeah, great group of women. Like Coach Roman said too, we are, I'm just really proud of everything.
Hello, I am Kelly Kessler, or Kelly Hardin. One of my memories was playing with my twin sister when we would scrimmage. She blocked me one time, and I was like, oh, And coach was like, come on, Kelly, that was a really good block. It's like, she was on my team. So I didn't expect her to block me. And just the school and all their encouragement and just how it was just an amazing time. It was just fun. I'm the other twin. I am Christy Rauch Cotterman. And Kelly stole my story. So my favorite memory is just all the memories that we have at state. The community support was something that I will never forget. Dribbling to Finley. I mean, when they sent us off on the bus and we're all just hanging out the window, just waving at everybody. Some of the best memories that I will never forget.
Hi, I'm Kaylee McGraw, formerly Kaylee Sheets. I wasn't prepared to speak tonight, so I would say my favorite memory was we were coming back from one of the games and it was nighttime and we had like the welcome, like the fire trucks and things, but like just seeing behind our bus all the taillights or the headlights from everyone following us was like one of the coolest things I've ever seen. So that'd be my favorite.
Hello, I am Amy Brown, formerly Amy Fox. My favorite memory of that year was actually when we went downstate. We played. Unfortunately, we lost. We got snowed in the hotel where we all got to hang out. So it really wasn't basketball related, but just that we got to spend some extra time together in the hotel after we got snowed in and hang out as a team a little bit longer.
Hello, I'm Lacey Price. Was Lacey Kessler, the super white one in the back. Everyone was at the tanning beds. This people didn't tell me. So I was just a freshman, so I was just happy to be along for the ride.
Okay, I'm going to call her out even though she just called herself out, but this is just a part of the tournament run. I was lucky enough to just get brought up pretty much for tournaments. Another role player. And Lacey got called in to play for the first time on varsity, I think. I don't know which game it was. But Coach Woodward says, Lacey, she goes, me? And then she wipes out on the way to the score. It was just a lot of fun, and I was just lucky to be part of the team. So,
I'm Chelsea Whitmire, formerly Chelsea Dilly. My memory that stands out, I was one of the seniors, so all of us had played basketball for years. Tina, when did we start? Second grade? Okay, yeah, long time ago. But we played basketball for years together, and I can remember before the season started, being at the community gas station, had a community member come up and say, hey, you know what? Good luck this season. We'll see you in Columbus. And I remember thinking, that's kind of weird. And then the fact that we actually did it was awesome. So that's just the memory that stands out for me.
Hello, I'm Kylie Brown, and my favorite memory is probably just watching my twin sister Kayla dominate and make impossible shots all year long. I'm Morgan Fegg, formerly Morgan Spiegel, and I just like scouting report because it got us out of practice a little bit.
I'm Kayla Golding, formerly Kayla Brown. One of my favorite memories is clinching the NCC 14-0 undefeated and walking out against Cyrus and just looking at the coaches and saying, wow, that was fun, let's do it again. So that was my favorite memory.
Girls. So as you can see, they're a pretty remarkable group of girls, and it was just a fun season. I know Amy kind of talked about it a little bit, but we were snowed in there was a blizzard in Columbus, and it started during our game. So we were playing Sugar Creek Garaway, and they were, predominant girls basketball team, and they had an all-Ohio win from the previous year, Laura Mardell. And we played tight with them for 3 quarters, and we were shooting 20%, and we never shot over 20%. So I got to believe that the blizzard had something to do with it because the snow was coming in during our game, and then they played the next division game after us, but then it was done. they canceled the tournament games and they didn't play them again until the following Monday. So we did get to stay in Columbus, walking down High Street with no cars. I remember we got to go see the reason we couldn't start the games on Sunday is because Ohio State men's team was playing. It just so happened John Diebler was playing against Michigan State, so we got to take public transportation and go watch that game, and I thought that was really cool too. So all in all, this season was a remarkable season. I want to thank again the Hardin County Hall of Fame Committee for giving these girls this opportunity and letting their success show here and being forever remembered. So thank you for bearing with me and listening to all my memories and all the stuff that these girls did. So thank you again.
I did radio for those games, and Jimmy moderated before your time I did. Everybody over there knows that's true. Anyway, this concludes our 12th Hall of Fame induction ceremony. We'd like this year's inductees, as well as the Riverdale basketball team, to hang around in front for some pictures. We also have extra programs that would like one up front. You can grab one here. But we'll see everyone again next year to recognize other classes of worthy individuals who continue to honor our proud legacy of athletic excellence in Hardin County. So again, thanks for coming, everyone.